Have you ever felt like nothing terrible happened to you, but somehow everything feels off? Like you're functional, kind, capable, but quietly exhausted by emotions you can't quite name. That confusion is often where emotional neglect hides. Some people imagine emotional neglect as something loud or cruel, but it's usually neither. It often looks like a perfectly normal childhood. Therefore, it goes unquestioned for decades. You were fed, clothed, maybe even praised, but something essential was missing. And what's missing shapes us just as much as what hurts. One silent sign is how hard it is for you to know what you're feeling in the first place. You can explain situations clearly, but when someone asks how you feel, your mind goes blank. Not numb, just empty. That happens because in an emotionally neglected childhood, feelings weren't explored or mirrored. Therefore, your inner world never got language. You learned to think instead of feel, but thinking can't replace emotional presence. Another sign is how uncomfortable you feel when someone is genuinely attentive to you. You want closeness, but when it arrives, your body tightens instead of relaxing. Your thoughts might say, "Why are they focused on me?" Or, "I should give something back." That's not ingratitude, that's conditioning. When emotional needs weren't met early on, attention feels unfamiliar. Therefore, it registers as pressure rather than safety. You might also notice that you're incredibly self-sufficient, but not proudly so. You don't ask for help, not because you don't need it, but because it never occurs to you that help is an option. You learned early that emotions were something to handle alone. Therefore, independence became a survival strategy, not a choice. Strong, yes, but lonely. There's often a sensitivity to criticism, even when it's gentle. On the surface, you seem calm, but inside something collapses. You replay the moment for hours, wondering what you missed. This happens because when emotional feedback was absent as a child, correction feels like rejection. Therefore, your nervous system reacts as if connection is at risk. It's not about ego, it's about safety. Another subtle sign is feeling responsible for other people's moods. You scan rooms instinctively, adjusting yourself to keep things smooth. You might call it empathy, but it's more than that. It's vigilance. In an emotionally neglected childhood, you learned that harmony mattered more than expression. Therefore, your own needs learned to stay quiet. You became emotionally fluent in others, but illiterate in yourself. You may also struggle with a persistent sense of inadequacy that doesn't match your reality. Even when things go well, there's a quiet voice saying, "Don't get used to this." That voice formed because emotional affirmation was inconsistent or absent. Therefore, your worth never felt anchored. Achievements land briefly, then slip away. Praise feels nice, but it doesn't stick. One of the most confusing signs is difficulty resting, not physical rest, emotional rest. You relax only when you're useful, productive, or needed. Stillness feels wrong. That's because when emotions weren't welcomed, your value became tied to performance. Therefore, rest triggers guilt instead of relief. Your nervous system never learned that you're enough without doing. And then there's the grief that comes without a clear story. You feel sad, but you can't point to a moment that explains it. No big trauma or obvious wound, just a quiet ache. This is the grief of what didn't happen, the conversations that never came, the comfort that was never offered. Emotional neglect is painful precisely because it's invisible. Therefore, it's easy to dismiss your own pain. If you're hearing this and thinking, "That's me," I want you to pause, not to diagnose yourself or blame your parents, but to understand yourself. Most caregivers didn't withhold emotions intentionally. They were often emotionally neglected too. Therefore, they passed down silence instead of support. Healing emotional neglect is about learning what you were never taught, naming feelings gently, letting needs exist without justification, allowing yourself to receive without earning it. Slow but real work. You learn to adapt, and those adaptations kept you safe once, but now they're asking to be updated. Emotional trauma healing begins with finally turning toward yourself. All you need is a conversation that should have started a long time ago. One practical shift is learning to pause and ask yourself what you feel before asking what you think. At first, the answer might be, I don't know, and that's okay. That I don't know is actually progress. It means you're noticing the gap instead of filling it with logic, therefore. Emotions start to surface in small, quiet ways. Therefore, patience matters more than insight. Another powerful practice is naming needs without immediately minimizing them. Notice how quickly your mind says, it's not a big deal, or others have it worse. That reflex kept you emotionally safe once, but it also keeps you disconnected. Try saying the need out loud, even if it feels awkward. Just acknowledgement. Learning to receive is also part of emotional trauma healing, but it often feels backward. When someone offers care, your instinct may be to deflect or repay it instantly. Instead, practice staying. Let the discomfort pass without acting on it. Your body needs repetition to learn that connection doesn't require performance. Therefore, small moments of receiving are enough. You can also start building an emotional vocabulary slowly, not with labels like good or bad, but with sensations. Tight chest, heavy stomach, warmth, restlessness. Emotions feel safer when they're grounded in the body. Therefore, this bypasses the pressure to get it right. And finally, allow grief without demanding a story. You don't need a dramatic memory to justify sadness. Grieving an emotionally neglected childhood often means grieving absence, and absence doesn't leave evidence. Let yourself feel the loss anyway. It's called integration. If you grew up emotionally neglected, healing means finally meeting the parts of you that learn to wait quietly. Those parts of you aren't broken, they're patient. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share.